When you made the decision to walk away, it was more than just the end of a relationship, it marked the beginning of a profound shift, not only in your life but in your partner's as well. That moment of separation was not just an emotional turning point, it became the catalyst for a deep reckoning. For your partner, it was as if the ground beneath them had suddenly given way, exposing a reality they had long ignored. This wasn't an ordinary hardship. It was a soul-deep realization of everything they had done, the emotional harm, the manipulation, and the intentional distance they had created between you, all rooted in their own fears and insecurities. Every action they took to drive a wedge between you had been an attempt to maintain control, a misguided effort to hide their inner vulnerability. They pushed you, tested you, and chipped away at your spirit, thinking that if they could make you despise them first, they could avoid the pain of being truly seen. But what they hadn't anticipated was your strength, your ability to walk away with dignity rather than collapse under the weight of their chaos. The moment you chose to no longer give your time, energy, or love to something that depleted you, they were forced to look inward. There was no longer anyone else to blame, no distraction to justify their behavior. It was like holding a mirror to their soul, revealing the damage they had caused not just to you, but to themselves in the process. That mirror didn't just reflect your absence, it revealed their brokenness, their regrets, and the truth they had been too afraid to face. While they spiraled into this reckoning, you embarked on a journey of transformation, one that was quiet, steady, and intensely personal. This wasn't a dramatic, performative glow-up designed for others to see. It was a sacred process of rebuilding from the inside out. You turned your focus inward, tending to wounds that ran deep, choosing growth over bitterness and healing over resentment. Your strength was not born from anger, but from the decision to choose peace. You didn't seek validation or revenge. Instead, you committed to becoming whole again, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. You began to rise, slowly at first, but with purpose. You reconnected with your values, rediscovered your voice, and nurtured the parts of yourself that had been neglected in the shadows of the relationship. Your glow-up was multifaceted. It wasn't just the improved confidence or the smile that now reached your eyes. It was in the energy you carried, calm, grounded, and aligned. You cultivated peace in your mind and strength in your heart. Your spirit was no longer weighed down by the burden of trying to fix someone who didn't want to be saved. Instead, you poured that effort into healing yourself, into building a life that felt expansive and full. And although you didn't intend it, your transformation became undeniable to those around you, including the person who once took your presence for granted. They began to notice the shift. They saw the difference in your posture, the clarity in your words, the serenity in your presence. It was as if an invisible force surrounded you, an aura of protection, grace, and divine favor. You exuded a kind of spiritual resilience that couldn't be fabricated. They sensed it, felt it deeply. You were no longer the same person they had hurt. You had evolved into someone untouchable, not because you were guarded, but because you were whole. They saw you thriving without them, and that realization hit harder than they could have imagined. The very person they thought they could mistreat and discard had become someone they could no longer reach, no longer access. And for the first time, they understood the magnitude of what they had lost. It wasn't about missing a partner, it was about realizing they had lost something rare, sacred, and deeply human. They came to see that love is not about possession, but about appreciation. And by the time they recognized your worth, you had already moved on, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. Your growth became a kind of justice. Not the loud, vengeful kind, but the kind that speaks in quiet victories. You didn't have to prove anything. Your life, your peace, your joy, all of it stood as living proof that you had not only survived the storm but had learned to dance in the rain. You had turned pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom, and endings into new beginnings. You had rewritten your story, not as a victim, but as a survivor, a creator, and a force of transformation. In walking away, you did more than remove yourself from a toxic situation, you reclaimed your power. You showed that healing is not about going back to what broke you but about rising into the person you were always meant to be. And in doing so, you shifted more than your own narrative. You altered theirs too. You became the lesson, the loss that taught them about value, respect, and the consequences of taking a good heart for granted. Your story is not defined by the pain of the past, but by the strength of your response to it. It's a story of resilience, of rising from the ashes with grace and clarity. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to transform, to grow, and to shine, even after the darkest of nights. And most importantly, it's a reminder to all who read it, no matter how long the night, the dawn always comes, and when it does, it brings light not just to the world, but to the soul that never gave up. I want to begin by sincerely apologizing for all the times I made you feel helpless, for the emotional chaos I dragged you through, and for the pain I caused. I know I've been a source of confusion and heartbreak. There were moments when I gave you hope, made you believe things could be beautiful, only to shatter that belief with my actions. One moment I was affectionate, warm, and caring, and the very next, I was cold, distant, rude, or even cruel. I see it now more clearly than I ever did then. You were on a roller coaster that I never should have put you on. You were never at fault. Please know that. You always gave your best. You tried to understand me when I couldn't understand myself. You tried to lift me up when I was sinking, even when it drained you. You extended your light into my darkness, hoping I would find my way out. You fought my battles as if they were your own. You stayed when most would have walked away. You showed me patience, compassion, and love that I didn't know I needed, and I couldn't reciprocate any of it the way you deserved. I was too lost inside my own mind, tangled in a web of thoughts and emotions I hadn't yet learned to unravel. I was stuck in a version of reality I had created for myself, one that shut you out even when you were trying so hard to come in. You fought my demons for as long as you could, but it wasn't your job to save me. I realize now that I placed an unbearable burden on your shoulders. You tried to be there, but I had built walls so high around me that even your love couldn't break through. I didn't accept your help, and I pushed your empathy away because I didn't think I deserved it. That was my mistake. I was wrong, so very wrong, to push you away. I can't change what I did, but I can acknowledge it, take responsibility, and let you know how deeply sorry I am. Since the day you walked away, something within me shifted. Your absence made me see what I had done, not just to you but also to myself. I started to heal, not for anyone else, but first and foremost for me, and also for the version of me that you once believed in. I've started therapy and have been learning more about myself, my patterns, and my pain. It hasn't been easy, but it's been necessary. Every step I take toward healing is a tribute to the love you once gave me. That love lit a spark in me that continues to burn, pushing me to become better. I didn't want you to keep suffering because of me. I hated seeing tears in your eyes and knowing I was the reason behind them. That was never what I wanted. I pushed you away not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't bear the thought of watching you hurt for someone who couldn't even hold himself together. I knew I had issues, emotional wounds and baggage I hadn't dealt with, and it wasn't fair to drag you into that darkness with me. You didn't deserve that. You are someone who should be treasured, loved without condition, cherished with tenderness and care. You are a beautiful soul, inside and out. So pure, so kind, so full of light. You deserve to be with someone who brings out the best in you, someone who makes you laugh every day and wraps you in love, not confusion or pain. You deserve someone who knows your worth and never makes you question it, someone who pampers you, celebrates you, and chooses you, again and again, without hesitation. At the time, I couldn't be that person for you. My mind was clouded, my heart conflicted, and I didn't have the emotional capacity to offer you the kind of love you deserved. It broke me to see how much I was hurting you. That was the moment I realized I wasn't good for you, not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't love you in the way you needed to be loved. And that truth was devastating to face. Letting you go was painful, but it was also an act of love in its own way. You didn't deserve to be dragged down any further. Today, I can say that I feel much better. My mind is calmer. My heart is lighter. I've found some peace. I've started to reconnect with the world in a more grounded, present way. But even now, one thing hasn't changed: my gratitude for you. I want to thank you, not just for the love, but for your patience, your unwavering support, and your endless kindness. Knowing you has been a gift, even if I didn't appreciate it fully in the moment. You are a blessing, and I'll always hold that truth in my heart. I'm genuinely glad to see that you're living your life happily now. That brings me peace more than anything. Just knowing that you're okay is enough. And though I may no longer be part of your journey, I'm thankful that you are such a significant part of mine. My healing started with you, and for that, I will forever be grateful. Thank you. Truly, deeply, thank you.